What's up, dudes? Hi, hello. Welcome back to TripleKO. Today, quadruple KO. I'm joined, per usual, by Justin Wong. Going through it right now, dealing with one-frame BS in Virtua Fighter 5, and also 90 frames on block coughing. I hope you're feeling better,
Yes.
Justin.
You know, I got my Ricola on standby, so we're gonna try to limit down those one-frame coughings. But yes,
You just have to scrape the cough. That's it.
Screw scraping the button. Never heard of that before, and I can't believe that works.
Hi, Matt. How's it going, dude?
I am not sick because I have not seen any children. My niece and nephew, I was like, I'm not seeing you during all of winter. I refuse to get child sick, so I'm good. So my heart goes out to Justin.
And we also have special guest, Sherry. How you doing, Sherry?
I'm great. I am on the same page as Justin, unfortunately, because I did just see a massive amount of people this past weekend, and I am one of the many that got hit with the flu.
Yeah, I went through it, in January to December or so. It took about a month. So I'm knocking on every type of lumber and wood around me, and it doesn't come back in some way because I also have kids. But for anybody that doesn't know, SherryJenix, resident, as I recall, Sea Viper expert from the Street Fighter 4 era, which is where I was first introduced, and also has been helping out a large variety of players in the tournament scene. Tell me if I'm explaining this incorrectly, Sherry, but get visas and the ability to travel for the sake of fighting game esports. Is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it started off as an idea and it grew into like what it is now, like this big program, but it's basically what you said. I help players from other countries. Traveling to the US is such a headache. They don't really have the resources for information or even financially to get travel visas to come here and compete. So I just, try to facilitate visas for them. And lately last year I got to work with Bandai. This year I got to work with SNK. So really cool things that are happening in the background.
And I think we're also paired up for a Canon Award at R.E.V.O. Is that right? You won last year's Canon Award for all these efforts, did you not?
I did. That was very surprising, although I kind of like had it in the back of my mind. That'd be really cool if I won a Canon Award for this year. And yeah, they announced me as a Canon Award winner for R.E.V.O. 2024.
Yeah, that's incredibly cool efforts, like all that kind of stuff, truly allowing the community to expand in the same ways that, we would have thought back in the day that this is impossible. There's no way this will become an esport in some way. It's because of efforts like Sherry, to give you your flowers, that this is even possible, that we can get people from the farthest stretches of the earth into places that allow them to show off their prowess and skill. So it's amazing. But also talking of amazing things, this week has been absolutely blasted with a huge variety of brand new fighting games, brand new fighting game characters, brand new fighting game news, tournament events, reports, like all this kind of stuff. So we're just going to have to get started. We finally got a beta date for friggin' City of the Wolves. My God, that was too late. But it's happening.
Just
Finally.
under the wire.
Yeah.
It was kind of like now or never. So I'm super stoked. 8 characters, which is that's more than the builds we've played, right?
Yeah.
It was. I think 4 characters were usually when
5
at Summer Game Fest or at R.E.V.O. I think it was 4 characters only.
Yeah, almost every single opportunity we've had to play the game, the roster, they would flip out characters where it's like, hey, so you get like 4 or 5, and then you go to another event and there's like Rock and Terry stay, but everybody else is different. So it's like, oh, what the? So I can't see what changed with them. But yeah, it seems like we're actually going to get a pretty healthy roster for this beta. There's the obvious hope that, oh man, is the matchmaking going to work and all that kind of stuff. Sherry, have you had an opportunity to play City of the Wolves that much yet or no?
I haven't. Like I've so many, like all of you guys have played City of the Wolves and everyone talks about it around me. My friend Flaquito, huge fan of City of the Wolves. So all the information I get from that game is coming like from, secondhanded people. So fortunately I haven't had a chance to play it yet. From
our impression, and those of us that have put quite a bit of time into the game, like I think me and Justin have put probably more time into the game in total than most people have in this like content creator space. The game is definitely sitting alongside something like Street Fighter 6, where it's trying to complement it. It's trying to be like the SNK alternative of Street Fighter 6, and because a lot of mechanical stuff is very similar. But in the same way as we remember, old Gauro back in the 1990s, that was obviously a counterpart to the Street Fighter 3 series. That's pretty much what they're going for. So I think there's definitely a space for Street Fighter players to adopt over.
Do they have something like drive?
So
They
drive
have
rush?
drive impact. They have drive
Yeah.
They
impact.
do have drive impact.
They have
It's-
drive
it's called
impact and they
rev-
have air
yeah.
drive impact.
They have air drive impact.
Okay,
So-
that's an interesting one.
So I think they don't have a drive rush.
No drive
but
rush.
Their version of drive rush is like doing special move into special move into special move. So
Yeah,
that's what uses your rev gauge, which is your drive gauge. And they have perfect parry, but they call it just defend, where instead of pressing 2 buttons, you have to tap a direction. You have to tap back.
Like third strike.
Yeah.
Similar.
Garo
Tap
had
forward,
just
tap
defend.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, Garo had tap back and from previous Garo, so it's more of like original classic instead of just tapping 2 buttons at the same time.
The
Yeah.
thing that, like, for people that are big Street Fighter heads that I try to pitch that might make it enticing for Street Fighter 6 adjacent, it's like Street Fighter 6 but way more defensive mechanics. So you have a lot of like, there's like a low crush, high crush system of unique normals that low crush, high crush lead to like slow down Tekken stuff. There's just defending. There's quite a bit of things you can just defend in the air. So they technically have quote unquote an air parry, but their air parry isn't hold down parry or even a third strike parry, which is pretty lenient, like 5 to 8 frames. Like no, their timing is tight. Like it's like at some points like 3 to 4 frames. So it's kind of like the really mechanically dense version of what like Capcom stuff is doing, even though Street Fighter 6 is pretty mechanically dense.
I was going to say earlier that mechanically it's mostly stayed the same since we've played the earlier builds, at least from the information we have. But every time they show it, what improves? Like the visuals, like here and there, like the UI has gotten flashier and just looks better. So it's interesting because there's not that many fighting games where you're seeing it in its release schedule, like let's say a year out, where you can see things just upgrading on a visual thing. Like Street Fighter 6, when we first saw gameplay, like still more or less looked like Street Fighter 6 when it came out, but it's interesting to see like added more effects on like supers and things and just the cell shading looking even sharper. So that's been cool just seeing that evolution like on a visual standpoint. But Justin, if one of those 8 characters
No, don't say it.
if one of those 8 characters is not B Jenny, are you
No,
playing
she
the
has to be
beta?
in it. They had a picture. Like they didn't say these are the 8 characters, but they had 8 characters on this picture, and B Jeanette was on that picture. So I truly believe that she is one of the 8 characters in this beta for 1000%.
And when the trailer comes out, her portrait, you're going to see like her silhouette, and it's going to turn into Billy at the last second.
I'm down for Billy, but the thing is, I played one of the devs, like in a set after I learned how to play the game a bit better, and yeah, I would say, I mean, Marco, like he's probably like my best character out of the characters I played so far because I haven't tried B Jeanette yet. So I'll just probably play Marco until I find somebody else I want to play during the beta if she wasn't in the game.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's almost guaranteed that you're getting Terry and Rock. They're the front runners,
Guaranteed.
right?
Yeah.
You're getting
Mai,
Terry and Rock.
probably.
You're likely getting
No,
Mai.
I don't think we're getting Mai.
I think there's a good chance of B Jenny.
More people will play the beta if Mai's in it.
This is true. The no Mai no buy meme exists. And then I think the rest of the characters can kind of be like a toss up between some of the stuff that was in previous and otherwise.
Otaru,
there's been several new characters,
Fox.
man. So I'm
Who am I
very
playing?
curious.
You?
Who would I play?
Who would you play out of the trailers? To be honest, Rock is pretty darn cool in this game. Like he's like, so in original Garo, he was like the worst character in the game. They made sure that he is not the worst character in this game.
Yeah.
So he's really flashy, really cool and the combos are cool. So, since you like Viper, you like doing Fierce, Feint, Fierce. Every character in the game has a Fierce, Feint, Fierce.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Like you just cancel normals?
Yeah, they have
a feint
specific
system.
normal. Yeah, feint system, a specific normals that they can feint. Even special moves you can feint. Like they have DP, FADC, for example. So they have a bunch of that type of stuff. So if you're a fan of doing cancels, City of Wolves is super cancel heavy.
And the feint system's fun because like the act of doing it is button cancel into special. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so that's normal. But the first hit of some specials can be feinted. So you press like the light attacks and it kicks the animation back down. And you kind of like only do the first hit and you reset back to the ground and do another normal on the ground. You can only do that so much, but it just allows for like cooler juggles and more combo damage just to extend, and also works on block. So yeah, the pressure gets pretty interesting. And it's not every single special, but it's like a lot of them, or at least like the key specials for some characters.
Yeah, like most time it's like DP is like DP. Like that's like I think the key special for most characters.
Rock's feint cancel is a DP, where the first hit of his rising tackle is a launcher. So you can feint cancel that launcher and then get another juggle. It's really cool. Rock also has, you might like this if you're a fan of like ambiguous ass cross-ups. Rock has a disgusting ambiguous cross-up special in this game that's kind of hard to like deal with. So I might actually recommend him. He's going to be my main character in the game, and he always is, but he's got some new specials that are not there from before that make him pretty tricky.
Yeah, I'd say maybe Reaper as well. Just I didn't think I would like Reaper that much, but like Reaper, when I actually started playing as him, I was just like, wow, he's got a lot of stuff. Like he has the dive kick, he has the rushdown punch and like the DP and stuff. And I was really digging him. So he's quite flashy as well. I just kind of hope that his level 3 is changed so that it doesn't take like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because that was still a little long for me, but I don't know if that's the type of thing that they're going to change. Those animations usually get locked in nice and early. So
speaking of that stuff, I think I'm also really curious to see how the game mechanically is changing. Because there has always been this idea that this stuff is not final. And the last time we actually played it was like the EVO Summer Games Fest build. So it even when me and Justin were playing, we're like, this is fun, but it feels like some things need to get ironed out like a little bit. Like just a little bit. I'm a little curious where they go with it. So that's where I'm kind of wondering. Like, it's been a long time. It's going to be like 7-8 months. So what's going to be different here? Like, there's usually several mechanical changes that happen in that period of time for the majority of fighting games. The systems are all going to be the same, but like throws, for example, I was using that because like throws are really reactable, at least it felt like that in City of the Wolves, in the builds that we played. So it's like, oh, so there really isn't like a shimmy because you're not really threatened by the throw that much, but we'll see.
Sounds fun.
So yeah, that happens in about like a few weeks or so. That's going to be happening in the later part of February.
Something 15, 17.
Yeah,
after
the EVO Awards.
Oh, it's right after the EVO Awards. That's right.
When the City of the Wolves beta is like released.
That's right. We haven't even had a chance to really talk about the EVO Awards either, have we?
Yeah, it's around there. So, and I think it's worldwide beta. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Just hopefully netcode's really good because it's definitely the thing that I think SNK needs to like knock out the park if they have a positive like just positive feedback from everyone just playing City of the Wolves beta, right? And
yeah, like
that's gonna carry so much for people when like wanting to purchase this game.
Yeah,
because I mean, I think we all talked about it. This is the fighting game that we're all looking forward to for this year.
Yeah,
and even when I talk to a bunch of other people, they feel the same way. So I'm really hoping they knock it out of the park with this open beta.
And then this beta in general, I mean, I think Sherry, Justin, Matt, like we've all heard the meme of like the KOF 15 matchmaking meme where it's like, is KOF 15 matchmaking working? And it's like a year and a half later, no, like it's still, it's just became a thing that was widely known until it eventually got fixed. But that made me pay attention to my habits of how I play online fighting games and the time I put into them is how easy the netcode could be good. KOF 15's netcode was good. But how easy is the experience of just finding people, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do in between that time? How much time am I spending not fighting people when I just want to be fighting people, you know? And I've been running into that problem, obviously, with KOF 15. It had a pretty big hamper on how much I played the game. And recently, like MK1, every time I go back to MK1, I'm just like, yeah, this character's so cool. This is so much fun. We'll get into this too, but I'm having such a great time with this. This can be a really fun game. And then I have to play it online and I'm like, this sucks. Like, this is not, spending so much time just looking at this stupid ass menu or doing nothing.
I will say, Max, that when I'll watch like your day one, this MK1 character. So for example, Conan, there's a lot of hard cuts in between matches. So I always assume that means there was a long wait period in between a match or two.
Just minutes of nothing, and not like even get ready for the next battle type of nothing. Like we're just waiting, and And then it gives me some person with a horrible connection, and it's like, oh, good. And then the one person you get like teabags and does fatalities to you every single time. I'm like, isn't this game just a ton of fun? Aren't we just having a blast here? And then you're like, I'll play player matches, but player matches also keeps your win-loss record. So people are mad sweaty in player matches too. And I'm like, oh my God, just let me play the game, dude. I just want to friendly somebody to 10 or 15 and nobody. No. We're doing friendly 10 to 15. Fatality every single game. I'm like, what is this community? Like, what are we doing here?
Well, Max, I can confirm to you, I played King of Fighters 15 today.
Yeah.
And matchmaking does work.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I've heard the same thing, which is great.
Yeah. And I noticed I was playing people from like different consoles, cross-play and everything.
Yeah.
So I think that really helped the King of Fighters 15 matchmaking a lot.
So that's good news for Fatal Fury, because they at least found what the hell their problem was. Like there was something goofy happening on the back end of crossplay or whatnot that prevented them from like actually finding matches. And yeah, it wasn't unfounded that people were like, oh, you're just bitching. There's just not enough people online. It's like, no, dude, like I'm streaming. I know there's people looking and they are not finding anybody either. Like what is happening? Or they only find one person and it just rematches you against the same person over and over again. That was the issue with KOF 15.
Yeah.
So outside of that, we got big news on Street Fighter front because Justin, did you get a chance to play Mai or no?
I think it was like it seems like they only brought in the people local to LA.
Yeah, it was mostly people around where I lived in a similar situation. So Mai Shiranui, obviously new DLC character for Street Fighter, has had a recent character breakdown. Seems pretty fun. I got a chance to play her for like maybe 30, 45 minutes against like CPU, so there was only so much that we could figure out. But within that small period of time, it sort of lines up with what Capcom is promoting as her game plan. Yeah. And the only thing they don't highlight in her game plan that I can say that's pretty unique, she seems like she has a really fast overhead. So
yeah, the overhead's really fast. I was looking at it too.
Her forward medium punch overhead's quick, and that into drive rush will be like, actually, oh, this is like a true 50-50 character, right? And there's stuff like that all over the place in Street Fighter, but add in throws and you have a pretty decent mix-up. So the thing that blew my mind, and I didn't realize this playing against CPUs, all of her fan Kashoku, what are they called? Fireballs?
Kashoken, yeah.
Okay, they can be punched. You can like smack
I saw that
them.
in the breakdown.
And regular
like,
projectiles.
Kunai.
Yeah.
Ibukis and Rolentos, like those weapon characters where they're not projectiles, they're kind of like, I don't know what do you classify them as, but you can hit them even since like the Alpha series.
Yeah. And apparently normal character projectiles, dudes throwing plasma goes through them. Like they just get broken until you use like her fully charged one or her EXs. So I'm like, this is an interesting dynamic. Like that's a little, at least we're not like doing a Mortal Kombat where it flies through and the projectile just goes through it. I'm like, okay, we're not getting that far. So
has NetherRealm ever said why they do that? Because it's the weirdest system to this day.
It is weird.
Why do they have a block button?
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But, that has changed over the years where some EX projectiles in NRS games in Mortal Kombat just crush all other projectiles and will like go through. So, though, I think she looks fun. And from what I played from her, I definitely got the impression in a similar vein to Terry, where, this character has got a lot of stuff. And she's going to have a lot of mix-up potential and a lot of interesting juggle potential, where it doesn't seem like we're going to have like an idea of exactly how she plays exactly perfectly in the first like week. I kind of got like Rashid vibes where, her level 1 giving her this fire buff is going to change all her frame data and a lot of her moves. Like that might be a critical part of her game plan where we just don't know all the setups and things until it'll just take some time. So that's what it felt like. And she had pretty decent normals, but kind of the way that Terry felt like he had decent normals. So we'll see.
I think her normals look a lot better. Like the medium kick looks like Terry's medium kick.
Yeah.
But whatever this move is, where she hits you in the head, that move looks fantastic. Yeah, that move looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, it looks amazing.
She had a huge stand MP. So stand strong was like a reaching fan, and the fan
she had like, it looked like Chun-Li's forward medium punch.
Yeah, like even further. And that was special cancelable. So that's going to be like her mega whiff punish drive rush tool. So it seems quite good. And I think visually she looks way better than that first trailer,
Yeah.
We can all kind of agree.
Her drive rush looks really fast. Did you see that gameplay that GamerBee had uploaded? Like, I guess they had a chance in Taiwan to play like real life matches outside of CPU, and that drive rush looks like Bison's. Like she's like sprinting across the screen. It's really fast.
It wasn't the speed of like a DJ, but it definitely was like a comparable. Oh, this is probably going to be one of the better drive rushes in the game. Might be like a top 5 drive rush.
Like a Kimberly drive rush.
Exactly.
That's what it reminded me
It'll jump
of.
scare you.
Did you see that bit where her stance changes to like her Fatal Fury 2 stance when she got burned out? Like, God, Capcom, when did you become so good at guest characters? Like for Terry, I thought, they nailed it, but here it's just like even more like fan servicey, for lack of a better term.
Yeah,
it's very fan servicey for sure. There's there's a lot of boobage everywhere. That's for sure.
Yeah, just
I don't know. Loading screen, character select screen.
Yeah,
no, the character select screen is crazy. Like the what do you call the casual wear, the DJ wear? That like I just want to buy that skin.
It's kind of like they understood the assignment.
Yep.
Like this has been SNK's poster girl since the early 90s. This is everybody's dream waifu, and Capcom's like, well, we'll just do that. Like, we'll just allow that. And to be real, they did the same thing with like Cammy and respectively like Jury, all that kind of stuff. We're just like, hey, this is the stuff people like about these characters, and even the dudes for the most part, like they just
like Terry. People worship Terry like in the World Tour mode and like everywhere. Like it's a celebration of the character rather than they're just a guest.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I think that's
you see
a lot of awareness from Capcom.
Did you see that Mai has beef with Jury?
Yeah, Jury calls her ugly.
Yeah. So
get out of here, ugly. Like
in one of the Japanese Japanese Mai like breakdowns to where they got a chance to play Mai, they did like some like World Tour mode or something like that, where they showed Mai meet up with Jury in the alleyway of Metro City, and they just started beefing with each other. And then when you look at why Mai has a problem with Jury, under her dislikes at the versus screen, it says she dislikes spiders.
Oh, interesting.
There you go.
That's so good.
World building.
Yeah, it's so good. The little things, it's like so hard to notice, but if you like really look into it, you're like, wow, okay, Capcom, you really put a lot of thought into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's one thing that, it finally feels like we're getting a game that really celebrates the characters of Street Fighter and their like isms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Ryu using a cell phone type shit. Honda not getting on planes to travel, just doing sumo headbutts like across the sky. There's been like little shit like that in like the story mode. It's like, what the hell? So there's cute things all over the place because the devs obviously give a shit.
And you know what? Like people were kind of like a little let down that Mai didn't get like an actual like fighting stage, right? But really, when I looked at it, it's like the Japan stage that has the cherry blossoms.
It's close.
That's already in the game. Like that is pretty much her stage. Like in any old Fatal Fury game, like Real Bout or even like older, like they all look like that. So I'd be like, I don't know, like that between that and the Pow Pow Cafe, which is a general SNK stage, like there's really not need for it. I'm more excited for an Elena stage. Like I just want to see what that is. Like we're talking about Second Impact,
Big Sun or Big Bridge.
Big
Bridge breaking apart per level.
Yeah.
But do you guys think though, because Capcom Cup is like 1 month after Mai comes out, do you think we'll see her in the competitive play? Maybe for like a surprise, like, oh, you know what? This might be my ace in the hole type of card.
It's like a month
I think that'll be allowed, but
I think it'll be allowed
in the same way that it's like Mai could have like a Rashid element because she feels so setup heavy, where she's gonna have like so many unique setups where you just don't know. Rashid was kind of that way, where it was like, oh, at the beginning this character seems like he's ass, and then you gotta let somebody figure it out, and somebody definitely figured it out. So I don't know. She doesn't have like a crazy tornado that she can manipulate or anything, but her ability to create what seems to be genuinely good mix-ups seems like her entire game plan. So the setup of those is going to be important.
I think so too. Like I think like if you look at all the right now, a lot of Kimberly players are doing much better.
Yeah.
Right, because they're figuring it out. So I think when Mai comes out, it'll be less time that people will need to figure her out, because Capcom kind of already late. They showed us the blueprint. Use the fan to get the mix, right? Because you get the fan on the second hit. So you go drive rush throw, go overhead or go low. That's obviously going to be, it seems like the core game plan for a lot of her mix-ups in the corner. It just seems like it's going to be really hard to deal with, especially with how fast Street Fighter 6 is being played now and how people are testing other players with like different reactions or like make them like kind of like go for a shimmy or make them flinch. She seems like she really works well with the Street Fighter 6 engine compared to when Terry first came out, where everyone's like, yeah, I don't know about Terry.
Yeah, Terry isn't a character that causes mental exhaustion,
Yeah.
Not really. He just like cashes out really hard when he gets that hit. Mai could be that character that benefits the systems of Street Fighter, which really like overload the player with information and try to like, I wasn't even looking for shimmies or DIs anymore. My brain cannot handle all of that. So she might add, if she adds a couple levels on top of all that, it might not be super apparent at the start that she's super good, but that's a character that complements Street Fighter 6, dude. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Terry, you could be a Mai player.
Everyone keeps saying that. I mean, I might try her. I tried all the new characters. Like, I tried Terry when he first came out, but we'll see. I mean, if she is like that.
That's a good question. Have you had a character that has gelled with you? Because in my eye, and from a very casual perspective, you definitely seem like you and see Viper absolutely gelled like super hard as like a character. So did that happen to you in Street Fighter 5, much less Street Fighter 6 after Street Fighter 4?
Not at all. I like Justin knows I have a character crisis. So I mean, Viper was so unique. It's really, really hard to find a character similar to her. And a lot of people are just like, she was just a mix-up heavy character, but it wasn't that. It was like the super jump cancel executions that was really, really fun about her.
She was an SNK character.
Yeah,
she really was.
That's why when you guys are talking about City of Wolves and all the cancels, Justin was like saying special cancels. I'm like, okay, that sounds really fun. There hasn't been a character like that since Street Fighter 5 and now Street Fighter 6. I've been on Luke, but before Luke, when Street Fighter 6 first dropped, I tried JP because he was unique. Totally not my character, not my style whatsoever. I tried Kimberly because she was mix-up heavy and everybody was like, this is something, she does apply pressure really well like Viper does, but she just didn't click with me, especially since she doesn't have like a DP. Yeah. I just felt like her mix-ups are, I hate to say this about Kimberly players, but they're kind of like basic. It's like basic. Option A, B, and C, but they're very simple to execute.
They're not enough layers to them, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're not like, wow, you hit that combo? Like, no. There's not a lot of that exists in this game, but with Luke, I kind of find that in the Perfect Knuckles. Because Perfect Knuckles, there is some sort, they're just frames, and you do have to hit them to actually, not die in the game and actually get the wrong knuckle type of situation.
You know what I just thought about since you mentioned Luke? Mai's worst matchup is going to be Luke because of the Sandblast.
Because they're hit scan, so they just plow through her fans, maybe.
Yeah.
Dang.
It's gonna go through the fans and hit her.
Yeah. That's the weird thing about Luke's fireball, because we call it hit scan because it's like in a shooter. There's no traveling of the projectile. It's just here and then there. So Luke's, I think his projectile technically moves. It just moves so fast and it has a lot of startup. So I'm wondering if there's a part where it just blasts through every single fan. That's going to suck.
Through her fans, But I mean, I kind of imagine it similar to like Jury, where the drive rush would change the matchup there then. Like, you wouldn't really play projectile heavy. Like, you wouldn't be trying to hit me with the fan. You would try to just drive rush at me.
Yeah. She doesn't seem to have her CVS2 jump. She doesn't have like a fast jump either. So it's like, it's just normal. If
Mai charges her fan just by holding down the button, did that take meter or does it not?
No, you can charge the light, medium, or heavy. And when you charge it, that obviously becomes a normal projectile from what I recall. But it changes the bounce pattern. So how high the projectile bounces off of a blocked opponent will be different. I think and this is just the Killer Instinct shout out of the week. I almost wish her fan had a cancel opportunity, because there's going to be a lot of moments where you're really going to want her to throw this fan and get the bounce, and you don't have any other option than just holding it down or letting it go. So they eventually, characters that had these big fireballs that they can charge, people kind of get aware of that and they just don't let him do it anymore. So what they did to Jago, because he had a charged fireball that was like mega plus on block, if you let him charge it, you can backdash or forward cancel it. So you can charge it and then back out and fake and feint out of things. So
and like Saberwolf had the big slash that you could like charge up but then cancel as well.
Exactly.
A couple of characters had things.
So
like
these things that characters had to commit to that would make them good, they had to put an extra level, like an extra layer on top of it. And I don't think, depending on how things go, if her projectiles do seem that bad, to be honest, they could be godlike. She might have the best projectiles in the whole game. We don't know shit until things are in motion. Terry was the better Ken for like a month until he came out, and he's obviously not. So this could all be different, but I'm just thinking like in the future, if they were to change her in some way and her projectiles were really suffering in a game like Street Fighter 6, how cool would it be if she could like Kachoku and then backdash or forward dash and make more pressure or more defense out of it? That'd be pretty neat.
I mean, they gave that to Ed, so might as well give it to Mai too.
That's true. Ed can do that shit too. That's right. That's right. Either way, a very cool character, like, and obviously super welcome guest character. It's leading me to a point where I don't know if I'm super excited for Elena. I just have never gelled with Elena's gameplay very much. I think I'm very much more looking forward to how her visual design will look in Street Fighter 6, like a super tall chick, like that is not Manon or like Marissa. I'm curious what her design is really going to look like in Unreal. I'm sorry, in Capcom's engine. I want to see what that looks like in RE engine.
I'm like
engine,
not ready for Dry Rush Melon Smasher. Because it was already so fast in Street Fighter 4. I just can't imagine what'll happen in Street Fighter 6 if she has that.
Don't hate. You know she's gonna have Mallet Smash. We don't know how fast she is, but just embrace that healing is coming back.
It'll come back.
Embrace the healing.
It's like plus frames on the Melon Smash too on block. It's gonna be insane.
No, it's not gonna be. I mean, maybe the slower version will be plus, like Street Fighter 4, but I don't think the EX one.
After Drive Rush,
will be plus.
Like you did Drive Rush Melon Smash, it's plus on block.
No, it might be 0.
What if healing only brings back drive gauge?
I'm down for that. I mean, they have that
It's
for
still
Jamie.
good. That would still be like you expend all of this. Level 1 healing brings back drive gauge. Like,
no, I don't know about level 1 healing. Level 1 healing is kind of crazy, actually, Max.
Level 1,
That's
if
actually
she gets
crazy,
burnt out, she can heal back instantly to not burned out.
maybe it can't bring it. Well, all I'm saying is that historically it has brought her health back. It can't bring health back again.
Why not?
Why not?
It's harder to use supers in this game because you don't have focus. So it's okay. It's not that bad.
True. So you're saying you want it to be a level 2?
Yeah,
it
I think
has to be like a level
healing.
2.
It can't be level 1. Level 1 is too much, Max. You know what I mean? That sounds broken.
Like you get
Imagine
3
level
heals
1
in
is
one
just green
round.
stuff?
No, I mean, I think maybe you could choose. You know how like if you do, let's say it's double fireball punch. Double fireball punch, you heal life. Double fireball kick, you heal drive gauge.
No, that's
Something
too
like
much.
that.
Getting the option, that seems messed up.
Crazy.
Why not?
Well, because then she's like now healing is better than it ever has been. Like,
But you're not gonna get it like it's. I don't think you'll get it as much compared to Rashid level 2. Rashid level 2 is like 3 times a match.
oh yeah,
I think Elena will get 2.
that is the character with the best level 2 like in the game. So, but I don't know. I'm just wondering. You have just from a design standpoint, you have a very polarizing mechanic, right? Something that was obviously good in the series where it came from, like the Street Fighter 3 series. It was okay. It wasn't the goal. It wasn't like Brave Dance and stuff like that, but it was still good.
Yeah.
And in Street Fighter 4, might have killed the game. Like,
It
small
did.
chance it executed the game on the spot.
It did.
So that's what I'm saying is that I'm really curious how they approach it. Is it just going to bring back your drive gauge? Like, can you sit and hold it and get more and risk getting hit or some kind of shit like that? Like, what will be the game plan? All I'm saying is that I like the idea, the theory, that Mai's level 1 install could maybe very much change the way she plays. Not like a Jamie drinking level 3 type of thing, but like maybe it gives her some good shit for one full round. And that's now the goal. Like the win condition is getting her on fire from her level 1 and now becoming a much better character.
Kind of like a lesser version of Kimberly's level 3.
Yeah. Her level 3 is like, I can't even remember. It's like movement speed. And
movement and damage a little bit.
And a little damage. It's almost unnoticeable unless you really are paying attention.
The speed is noticeable. The damage is not really that noticeable.
Yeah. And that's like, it needs to be something in between Kimberly's level 3 and obviously like Jamie drinking craziness. There needs to be something that is like a nice difference where this feels like it's worth spending the meter on this shit to make her more powerful. And I think that's a cool idea.
Like plus frames.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if everything's on fire and it changes like her normals and her projectiles, it's probably like more plus frames.
Yeah, exactly. That would change her dramatically. Like just specials and everything. I saw there was one example of her level 2 that has her fly across the screen like relatively slow. And if she was on fire, it turned into bionic arm. I was like, whoa, holy crap. It's boom across the whole screen. I was like, that's different. So
yeah, that I think that enhanced version, when I was looking at it, it's from King of Fighters 99. Mai's like super when she's in red health.
she turns like into a fire arrow.
Yeah,
Zoom.
fire phoenix. Yeah, it's like a phoenix arrow. So it reminded me of King of Fighters 99.
Anyway, we're spending too much time on Mai. We got too much news. Yeah, Street Fighter 6 is getting better and better. I'm very excited about the next season moving forward. Curious how Elena's going to be, but I think I'm more curious where we're going to get after this. I want Sean, I want Dudley, yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about something that's very selfish on my end, because I don't think anybody else in this room on this podcast has played this except me. How'd y'all love Conan and Mortal Kombat 1?
Listen, Max,
Y'all.
I don't think any of us played Mortal Kombat for like the last 4
I might be the only one. It keeps
You
going
are
back.
the Mortal
In the
Kombat
world.
guy. You're the Mortal Kombat guy.
I'm sitting here playing with people, telling people Ghostface plays and shit.
Yeah, that's true.
So good news. Conan's awesome. Like
He looks cool.
He's legit super fun. There's a lot of like Tusk-isms in there, which is fair because Tusk is just Conan-isms all over the place. But gameplay, he's very fun, and he's kind of like slapping for a lot of people now. Although he has obvious weaknesses, he's just like long. Most characters in MK1 are kind of stubby, just for the most part. Conan is not. Like they use that sword. He's big whiff punish man, the man.
Okay.
So he doesn't
nice.
have big like overhead openers or like starters or big low starters. He's just waiting for you to hit a button. So if you're kind of defensive against him, he gets messed up. So you have to have cameos fix that. However, when this guy swings his sword, he goes, no! And then he swings a sword twice. He goes, no! So you get just nonstop Arnie-isms till the cows come home. And it's very enjoyable. As somebody that is an active Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonator, and I have created a career and a livelihood after going, it's just that. So
Yeah.
and they embrace the meme wholeheartedly of like old Arnie like voice imitation. And the actor they got to play him, I love him because he's like young Arnie, different from Terminator 2 MK11.
Yeah, because that was like that's supposed to be a flat performance, right? So you can't lean into Arnold that much because there's only so much you can enunciate. But if you're just Conan Arnold or any others like non-Terminator roles, you can just like you just
constantly
said, and it's more fun, it's more kitschy.
He's so funny, dude. Like he pulls up the sword and runs. Like they don't even, they're not reserved in any way. So they just commit fully to the meme. And all I'm saying is I deeply appreciate it. I think they did quite a good job with the portrayal of the character, how he plays in general. I think he's just very fun. So,
which we didn't think when the lineup got shown.
Yeah.
We were kind of you said
he was
Max,
the bummer.
Like you were like, well, I'm kind of interested just because it's Arnold, but at the same time, it's like there's not how are you going to make that character interesting?
Exactly. Yeah.
But it seems like he is.
They gave his ass a restand. They gave his ass like a run cancel as well. Like he's got really interesting block pressure because of his run cancel. And now, you know, MK1's opening up as a game where you can convert throws, you can do all this shit. So yeah, it's fun. Like, and I always run into the same problem when I eventually have to play online and actually play people. It's kind of like a slog, but I'm like, yeah, this character's awesome though. I think they did a very good job with it. But that's not like the news of the week. Just to cover our MK1 basis, Mortal Kombat, in my eyes, did the coolest thing that has happened to MK1 yet. Actually, more than any individual guest character, they put 90s era actual secret content into the game.
That's cool, yeah.
And this is in the form of Floyd, aka Pink Floyd, the new mystery ninja of Mortal Kombat.
This was so crazy because it was just, I just woke up one day and I just saw Floyd all over my timeline.
I was like,
Went viral as shit.
What is happening? And it took me a while to piece it together, which in the internet age is forever.
Yeah, it's old news now.
What is this? And even now, no one has it down 100%. The fact that NetherRealm has individualized tasks that you need to do for each player, is it? That's the craziest
and the
shit.
idea,
they thought about that.
The idea behind it, like from just how do we engage the player with this stuff? You'll just randomly get Floyds, and to get a Floyd means on your account you have to fulfill parameters, and there's just a lot of these, like 37, maybe more than 37 of them, which are just really random things. Only win with sweeps, only win with down twos, right? Like get killed by reptile with a brutality or that's not even one of them, but it's weird shit like that. Things that if you're playing the game just as a normal person, you might run into this shit and then you'll just get a notification. So if you're one of those folks that is just grinding versus mode, online, player matches, or invasions, you'll be playing throughout the game with no idea whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, the screen breaks and this like pink ninja shows up out of nowhere in what is now the sickest goddamn stage of a fighting game this side of the generation of fighting games. And you have to beat him to get his stage and a bunch of costumes and shit. And it's like, what the? So just thinking of like, if you're not permanently on the internet, like most of us are and shit, that's a like really cool thing. Like, what is happening? Like, who is this guy? What's going on? But yeah, the science behind it's been kind of figured out. And how it works is it's account based. So everybody's account has a random set of challenges that it could be. And the more we know about it, it's 37 challenges of just things you have to do. But it's not going to be the same challenges for everybody. So you have to complete 10. And as long as you get 10 on the 10th completed challenge, his bitch ass shows up. And then you have to beat him to get the rewards. But the hard part is figuring out, so which of the 37 challenges do I have? And, you know, I'm very lucky.
All of them.
So I had to go through all 37 of them, and the 37th challenge was my final one.
Wow.
And I went through all of them before, and most of them didn't work. So I was like, oh, God, 3 hours later, I finally got this bitch to show up. And
did you beat him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he died.
Okay,
I was making sure I was not going to do that shit again.
He's not like SNK hard. Like,
no, he's just fucked up. Like he's every single MK ninja put into one. So he just converts off of everything and has like everything ever. He's got like moves from MK11 and shit like that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So he's genuinely like a super sick character, but not like a real boy. Like he's an imaginary, boss fight.
Like an NPC fight. Like for like the NPC like non-playable characters that were in MK11 and 10.
Exactly. Okay. Like he's just supposed to be a fantasy. And yeah,
so
there's
what
no way
happens
to
if you lose?
So if you lose, you get, I think, 3 chances. So they were pretty generous. Like that's pretty generous, because if you apparently lose and you do not get it, you have to fulfill all 10 specifically of those challenges again. You have to remember which ones they were because it's account based. Okay. And you have to go back and be like, all right, so I had to sweep Reptile 3 times. I had to taunt this character 7 times, like that kind of stuff. I had to play through the story mode, chapter 15, and weird shit like that. But yeah, you get a stage, cool, and it's incredible. Stage is not
really cool.
A competitive standard. You can't even see Cyrax's bombs on the ground.
You can't see most things, like anything that's ground-based.
Yeah. But the stage is actually like one of the coolest looking stages I've ever seen in a fighting game. So
that's got to be Mortal Kombat's version of the field in Street Fighter Alpha.
Yeah,
like it's that type of vibe, huh?
Yeah, it is. I'd argue it's better. And it's like,
can you play as Floyd?
No, you can't play as him.
Like you can't even like unlock him at all. Nothing.
I suppose you could hack him on PC, but like he's not like a fully fleshed out character.
People have hooked him in and done combos and shit, but you cannot by normal definition. There's no way to actually unlock Floyd. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep this going, and that might be a thing later on. I honestly would not be surprised. Because this was a lot of work.
Yeah, because I saw somebody was playing as Floyd, and then like they showed us move list and his ice blast. I was like, why is it so fast? Like I don't remember Sub-Zero's ice blast being that fast, and people were like commenting saying this is what they should have gave Sub-Zero. That's like
he's messed up.
Saying.
Yeah. He's not a normal character. He's not like, I want to play this guy online. No, that would not be good. Like he has no considerations made. He's just designed to be cool.
I agree with what you said at the start there, where he's like, this is like legit one of the most exciting things that's happened in Mortal Kombat in like a little bit, because it's like no one knew about this until this update rolled out with Conan. A real reversal of like MK9 when everyone knew Cyber Sub-Zero was in the game, because Brady guides that went out weeks before the game just had Cyber Sub-Zero in the guide, and people already knew about the character before the game was even out.
That's not great.
Like Yeah, it's not great. So the fact that this just took everyone by surprise was like, I can't think of many other things that's been like this for the last
Yeah.
couple of years, where it's just like, here's just a secret character hidden in the game, and it's really no one can quite figure out, or at least for a while. Internet time, a couple of days, which is an incredible length of time. So yeah,
I love it.
They'll probably like do a female ninja next patch or something. Who knows?
I think the closest thing for like a secret was like figured out within like an hour. It was when Akuma first came out and you're like how to activate Shin Akuma.
Dude, yeah.
Right.
Right, with the
Moments.
taunt.
It took no time for people to solve that.
It was so fast. It was instantly.
So yeah, that's what's MK front. That's what's going down. We got one more character similar to Street Fighter. There's one more character on their season roster, and then we'll just kind of leave it in the air. What the heck's going to happen with the game? It seems like Ed is teasing more DLC. That could be a bit different than the initial rumors we were hearing about, but that was never confirmed. I do personally feel, just speaking from a personal front, I don't think I would be terribly disappointed if MK1 even ended its DLC season after the T1000. I think I would be kind of excited to see the NRS team take another fresh stab at whatever they're doing next, like a new Mortal Kombat or something like that, and alleviate a lot of the concerns that happen in this game. A reminder, we still don't have lobbies, bro. Like, we still do not have normal lobbies just to invite people. You still have to deal with like friends list and all that kind of stuff. It's still weird that it works this way. So yeah, I think there is a period of time where I appreciate a lot of stuff in MK1, and I like a lot of characters in this game, and I think it is fun. There's a lot of goofy shit too. On a core fundamental level, it's a rough game to feel to play. So I don't know if I'd be super disappointed if we just tried again.
I would think one more update that maybe added 3 like classic Mortal Kombat characters, no more guests, because that always gums up the works and takes forever. And like maybe add in those things that you say are missing, like one final like push of like, here's it's far too late to make a huge difference, but end on a better note than T1000.
Yeah,
that's weird. Like the last character for this divisive game is the T1000. Like
for
it's
sure.
just odd to me. So
since we have Sherry here, I have to ask, like in the vein of somebody who is pretty much Capcom adjacent, like I know you play a lot of like Capcom stuff and historically have. When you look at the efforts of like NetherRealm Studios and MK games, because I'm sure you've tried them out and given them a shot or played a few of them, but where are the moments that actually like make that really appealing to you to like want to try, or if you have in the past?
So it's more like the characters. So Justin knows there was a time when I was streaming and I was trying to, I think it was either MK9 or MKX. I was trying to pick up Sub-Zero, and I didn't even know what dial-in combos were. Yeah. So Justin was like, "You just got to do the combos. Just do that." And I'm like, I'm trying to time it, and it was into like the freeze into a slide, and I was like, I swear I'm just doing it. Yeah, I like the combo system. I would say I'm not a fan of. I just don't really like dial-in combos, so I think that's what turned me off from MK. But I mean, I have a whole bunch of friends that played Mortal Kombat. I actually watched a lot of MK1 videos last year, so like, again, mostly Sub-Zero, but I think the story and the lore draws me to MK, but the game just does not fit with like how I like to play games, like fighting games.
To be real, that's absolutely accurate, because if there's one other fighting game that is probably the closest to Mortal Kombat, it ain't Street Fighter, it's Tekken.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, all the dial combos, like ducking the highs and punishing and stuff, I'm like, yeah, this is much more similar to Tekken than it is Street Fighter.
I didn't realize that, because I tried playing Tekken 2, but I was just trying to do like Electric God Wind Fist. Is that?
Yeah, well, Electric
God Fist. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to do that because I was trying to play Devil Jin. So like my idea was to focus on executing that. Not
you chose an interesting character to start.
Everyone's like, don't start with Devil Jin, but that's what they said about Steve Viper too when I started playing Street Fighter. They're like, don't play Viper. She's not a beginner, like friendly level character, but I think I just like diving into harder characters with like harder execution to play from the get-go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of diving into difficult characters from the get-go and characters you probably shouldn't be playing at the start of a game, me and Justin have been playing Akira in Virtua Fighter 5 R.E.V.O. and going through it.
But why starting with Akira?
So
he's fun.
Okay,
No,
and,
not disputing that, but out of all the characters,
as an
fun
example, Akira is arguably one of the most satisfying characters to play in a fighting game. Like straight up. The impacts, the feel of the impact, what he does, the ideology of his game plan is to terrify you. Like that is the point. Is that this bitch is
with the shoulder,
with his elbow, with the shoulder, to scare the shit out of you into blocking. Because his game plan's all about like, oh, now you're blocking. I can, I have guard crushes. I want to do that shit. So he's really interesting. And to me, I played like Gene Cujo when the game first came out, and he's just so easy to play. And anybody that is like, I want to play VF, I'm like, bro, play Gene. You'll do more damage than Akira combos. Trust me, it'll be way easier to play. Or Jackie or something like that. But one day I was just playing against friends in the room, and I was like, okay, so I don't want to play the characters I know. I'll play a character that's hard. So I just had the chat, which is full of VF heads, if we're ever playing like Virtua Fighter, feed me Akira combos and Akira moves. And I'm like, shit, this is fun. So that was the only impression I had of the character. It was just like, I'm actually really enjoying this. Like this, he's hard. I get it. Nothing comes naturally and very easily. It's like starting off the game by playing Kazuya in like Tekken. But damn, when shit works out, you feel like a god. Like you feel so good. So I think that's what I think those neurons firing is worth the losses of just like, I can play a much easier character, but damn, bro, when I get this like shoulder slap, back slam, thing, and I manipulated you and it hits the wall, and now I'm doing the 3-hit chain. Like this shit is awesome.
That's how I felt, because I played Jackie before the game officially launched, and I'm like, yeah, Jackie's easy. He's definitely a Justin character, but like he doesn't give me like. Yeah, I was watching the VF exhibition that they had, Sega had, and I was watching Juicebox play with Akira.
Yeah,
and I'm like, man, why does every time Juicebox hits you, I get so hyped because the impact of the sound just sounds so satisfying. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna play Akira when this game comes out. So I'm playing it because I just see the elbow, right? In high level terms, you just see elbow and it just does stuff. So I'm like, I want to do that. So going through the move list, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand why people say he's hard, because it's all like just frame timing. There's a lot of like commands to it. But when you finally like get like stuff off, like Max says, it really feels really good. Like I don't think I had that much fun playing a character in a really long time. Just because it really sounds realistic. Like it sounds so realistic when he hits you, and because I don't know, man. Like I don't like main characters in fighting games a lot, but this might be the first main character I really like a lot.
And because he's not traditional main, like he is the most unmain character. You think of main character, okay, I should be starting the game here. Not recommended. But granted, like
visually
he is. You don't. The cool thing about VF is that you don't have to remember like a whole move list. The game has punishment, right? The game has all this stuff that Tekken effectively has, but you don't have to do that. You really don't. Most launchers are just safe. Most things that the way the game operates does not revolve around, I need to know the frame data. This is my 10 framer. This is my 12 frame punish. This is my launch punish, right? Like that kind of stuff. Yeah, that exists in VF to a certain degree, but the way like the moment to moment interaction doesn't revolve that way, dude. Your decision making is happening too fast for that to be the case. So it's mostly about, do I sidestep? Do I strike? Do I throw? Right. Yeah. And I've seen so many people that are jumping into VF now and playing it. They're like, dude, I grabbed them out of that move. What the hell? What's happening? I saw them do this like 90 frame startup move and my hands went through them. What's wrong with this game, Sega? And I'm like, you can't. Like you cannot. The throws
baby
will not beat any strikes. Maybe in like some edge case scenarios.
Yeah.
But strikes beat throws, period.
Yeah.
So people just don't grasp that idea that like every engagement is based on this and you have to like revolve around. And once you get that, it becomes much faster of a game, much more engaging of a game. You feel like you're constantly making decisions like really goddamn fast. So
like in Tekken, I'm constantly looking at move lists.
Yes.
And even though Virtua Fighter has massive move lists, it's like I'll figure it out. Like I'll find the move that like I like or works because it's just punch, kick, guard.
Yes.
Like I love that a control system that was developed in 1993 is still like the most elegant one where it's like, yeah, punch, kick, throw.
It's a funny thing because me and Justin were playing, and I think the same thing happened to both of us, where we're playing and we don't know how to like fight everybody, so we don't know the matchups. And of course, matchup knowledge is going to be important for every fighting game. But I didn't feel like I was getting cooked from matchup knowledge. I felt like I was getting cooked because the guy I'm fighting is playing the game 3 times as fast as I am, and is one step ahead of me a little bit in every regard. He knows what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it. And the only time I was able to catch up with them, and I'm like, this bitch keeps sidestepping. I am now delaying my attacks. Gotcha. So it's like, oh, I get it. Oh, you really have to like not be predictable in this shit. And if you are predictable, you'll get fucked up.
I do have to say, playing around 4-ish hours of R.E.V.O, I need the new Virtua Fighter to have voice acting from 2025 and not 2004. I like it. Absolutely needs to be a toggle. Have the old voices, that's fine, but like it's so weird when the visuals are so clean and they look like, you know, as good as they can be.
Hot dog.
You just hear the echo of a room from 2004 when they recorded these voice lines, or like 2008, and you just like everyone's voice quality is all over the place, and just the jet engine sounds for the fucking guard plus kicks is just. It's so weird that the sound is still like from almost 20 years ago.
Charming, right?
It is.
It has, but yeah, it's clearly one of the things where it should be a toggle. By default, new sounds, new audio experience, an option to go back to the 90s type shit.
They have the polygon costumes and those are great.
It's true.
Like, love those. And like the amount of costumes that you get from buying like the you know, the deluxe version, even then it's not full price, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just looking at, you get the Tekken 7 one, I think, you get the Yakuza one, and you have the Virtua Fighter, like 30th anniversary polygon stuff, the bathing suit thing, and then you have your slots for your customizable shit, which I was having fun with. I didn't know you could put like a 5 o'clock reddish beard on Wolf, and I was like, whoo, boy. It's getting hot in here. This dude is looking so good. So I was having fun with the customization. I didn't mess with the customization in Final Ultimate Showdown, rather. So I'm doing that here and like just setting all my costumes. And it's like I haven't really gone in because Ultimate Showdown, I was like, okay, but I don't know, just because I play PC way more than my PS5. So I'm just really happy to have Virtua Fighter right here, like in front of me.
And that's kind of my next question for Justin and you guys that played. How was your online experience so far, Justin?
All right. So I felt like when I started at KYU in the beginning, it was perfect. Once I got to the dance, the netcode started being really bad.
Yeah.
Really?
And then I started facing a matchmaking bug where you just stay in matchmaking like queue for all day.
Yeah.
And if you try to quit matchmaking, the game crashes. So I got to restart the game.
Whoa.
And then people were telling me that, yeah, that's a bug. That's a known bug, blah, blah, blah. So it's like when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's really bad. So there's no like middle ground, it seems like. Because though even the numbers, it will go from 0 frame, 7 frame, 0 frame, 7 frame. I'm like, oh, this is terrible.
This is rough. Yeah, and I've kind of noticed the same thing even when I was playing ranked, and it was just rough. Like, like lots of input delay, and input experience just kind of all over the place. And then I went into player matches, and it was a bit better when I wasn't playing in ranked. But I did notice that I had it set to 2 frames of delay. When it was at 3, it felt like a lot. Like it was more than that. But I definitely felt that at times, like I'm on 2 frames of input delay, right? So my experience locally should not be changing in my buttons presses and the responsiveness of that on screen. I swear to God it was. Like, I swear, as I was playing people, like they would get hitchy and stuff like that, but it felt like the connection would go, ugh, and I felt like I was in mud, like all for a little bit, and then it would recover. And in a normal rollback situation, that should not happen. Like your frame delay should stay. So you would just at that delay permanently, and you should not see any issues or feel any issues. And it was a little all over the place at times.
There's also a bug. Now maybe this is why you ran into it. So when you get hit up in matchmaking, let's say like, oh, someone here ready to challenge you, it shows green in 5 bars.
Yeah, you have to wait a few seconds. Right away.
You have to wait a few seconds, and then it'll show the real connection. So once I started doing that, it started seeing red, orange, and I'm like, oh, okay. These guys are either we have bad connection or they're on Wi-Fi. But then when I waited for green, it worked well.
Yeah.
But the problem is I get less greens compared to the others.
Yeah. And I think this is just the standard of netcode. Like Sherry, on your end, like when's the last time you've really thought about like, oh, the netcode in Street Fighter 6? Oh no, it's fallen apart. Does it even happen that often to someone that plays that frequently?
No, like Street Fighter 6, I know online people complain still about the netcode of Street Fighter 6 because like there'll be some rollback and sometimes you get disconnected from matches, but it's nowhere close to like what we had to go through for Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 4. Like online Street Fighter 4 was almost non-existent outside of like Xbox 360.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm very fortunate where Street Fighter 6's netcode is,
and I think
very playable.
That's just like the standard now that we have, because even comparatively, I've played a lot of Tekken 8 online, and I'll be real, like most of that experience has been pretty good to the point where they'll add like a frame or two of input delay, and I really don't feel like that much changing. And I think there's a lot of things for that. Like Tekken has an extremely generous buffer system that allows like your next attacks to just buffer in and come out immediately when they can. And Virtua Fighters is like, I think maybe half of that amount. So yeah, there's something that if we have a new VF, a new 3D game, that'll help things feel a bit better, where we don't have to do precise button presses where, you know, the input delay could be a little funky at times. But still, it's like I don't think I can be emphatically positive that like, oh man, like this is just the new premium 3D online netcode. It's not quite there yet. And I was running into several problems in the beta too. And what we're running into now is kind of different stuff. So hopefully this all means they're just ironing things out for the next generation of VF.
I hope so too.
And I hope they get there. I really do. It definitely is better than the old way of doing it with delay-based netcode. But at the same point, I played people in China, like over in like Hong Kong and way across, you know, the ocean, and it was working. So it was like, oh shit, this is okay. This is actually functional. This is not normal. So that's good. That means that if you have good connections, like, well, at least a proper connection, even from a pretty big distance, you can be okay with it.
You know, it's crazy, right? Speaking about connections and overseas, I played Guilty Gear Strive on the Nintendo Switch against Sea Dog, right? And he's in Japan, and I'm in Vancouver, and he was on Wi-Fi, and the connection was like really good.
Yeah,
yeah, on the Switch. So I was like really surprised on that.
Netcode has changed, and now we're getting like more and more particular and picky with what is acceptable, and the same thing's now applying to matchmaking more than anything, I think.
Yeah.
We got more news. So I want a raise of hands here. Who went to Frosty Faustings this year? Anybody go? Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Okay, that's good. That's good over here. Sherry, how was it?
I mean, Frosty's was amazing. I'm surprised none of you guys went. It was a very community-driven event, you know. Yeah. It was cold, but Frosty's, it gives me the vibes of what tournaments used to be like in the 2000s. You know, like I was there for all these tournaments from the beginning, and they've like grown to what they are now. Like Combo Breaker and C are huge tournaments. EVO is basically like a convention now, but Frosty's, first of all, I didn't know there were 17 of them. It was Frosty Faustings 17. I've only been to 2, with my first one being 2 years ago, so I skipped last year. It was so fun, which is probably why I'm really, really sick, because I got zero rest. I was up, like the ballroom's open 24 hours. They had karaoke. That's kind of like the new thing of the scene. I remember, you know, like at CEO, we would have pool parties at night, but now they have the karaoke room that's hosted by TNS. And we were there every single night till like 3-4 in the morning, just singing our asses off while everyone's playing casuals. So like, a lot of people were singing Japanese songs. A lot of people were singing like Guilty Gear and whatnot. And, you know, I sang Sabrina Carpenter, Espresso. We did Apatu, some K-pop songs. And it's just great vibes. Like me and Idom were playing Guitar Hero. I've never played Guitar Hero, but I was smoking, not Idom, but, you know, like Just a Kid. And just being able to like play with fighting game players outside of fighting games. There were a lot of music games there. Yeah. It was just Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously I competed in Street Fighter.
I saw the lineup and like some of the games that they were offering, they had like top 4s on stream for was like a pretty healthy majority. Like some stuff you'd see at like CEO that just randomly shows up like here and there. It's like, oh, what the heck is that game? They have a tournament for that. So it seems that the era of these sort of like, I'd say mid-scale tournaments that aren't quite like Combo Breaker or as big as CEO or an EVO, they try to like fill up their brackets with as many like interesting games as possible. They try to get like variety as a priority for these events. So like, yeah, dancing games, if not music games, rhythm games, as well as the majority of like classic older fighting games. Dude, they even had an MVCIB tournament there with like our game. And it went pretty dang well and everything on like PC hardware. So I'm like, that's awesome. Like that's super cool that could even be a thing that takes place. So yeah, I think that's the whole point, is that this probably feels more grassroots is what you're saying, of like the classic FGC, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's a combination. I don't even remember how many games there were, but there were at least 10 games I feel had a tournament. Like Smash was there. We haven't, had Smash tournaments at our bigger events for a while now. So it was really cool seeing everyone. And they had mystery games, something that Combo Breaker also does.
For sure.
So the mystery game, like, I forgot, it was like 2:30 in the morning and I had just finished karaoke and I was like, let me go see what's going on in the ballroom. And I peeked in and it was just like a big group of people surrounding the stage. And the mystery game was like, I don't know what game it was, but they were like in space and they had to shoot these red balls at each other, just one red ball. And like they're in space. So whoever gets the first hit, it was very similar to that footsie game. It's just like a one-hit win type of situation. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell is going on in here? And you just see everyone laughing, everyone celebrating. And yeah, this is like 2:30 in the morning, just D-Gen gamer hours, and everyone's just thriving and having fun. So that's what I really appreciate about Frosties.
2:30 is not, dude, come on. Like
that's the start of D-Gen hours. The start.
That is not D-Gen. Like D-Gen is the sun is up, dude. Like go to bed. Yeah, that's great. It's great to hear that. And then I didn't get a chance to like keep up with the event, their tournament. They had like a 4-day streaming event or something like that, right? Or was it only 3 days?
4 days, I believe.
It was like, it started Thursday. Most of the main games started Friday. It was really cool because singles tournaments basically ended on Saturday, and then it was all teams on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's what I saw. Like finals day wasn't the traditional finals day. It was like teams finals day.
Yeah.
That's
so a lot of 2v2s on Sunday.
Yeah.
There was a Pokemon Puzzle League tournament? That's so sick.
Dude, I think it's a Chicago thing. Like if you run a tournament in Chicago, you have to just run just
Pokemon
every single
Puzzle
possible
League.
thing possible. Just like random games, stuff that's not in the norm. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, that's a Chicago special.
It's kind of like a Midwest tradition now.
Yeah,
but like
that's
I could have competed in that. I love Pokemon Puzzle League.
I think we got Keats to thank for all of that from the UFGT days and stuff like that.
Yep.
I think Keats with UFG TV. Even Jason Wilson, when he ran Midwest Championships before Keats, like he would have funky tournaments, like literally funky tournaments. Where there was one tournament where I entered, where it's the most craziest thing in the world. It's literally a rigged tournament, Max. I'm gonna explain to you what they did. I'm fighting player B, okay? And we're playing Alpha 2, for example. But the problem is there are two people on the other side of the cabinet that are wiring your buttons. So your buttons will just stop working, or your joystick will start getting flipped in different directions to sabotage you. So it was literally a rigged tournament. So they would just keep doing it back and forth for both players until somebody won.
Amazing.
That sounds like a great time. That sounds
fun, yeah.
As somebody
they need to do that at like EVO. That needs to happen at majors.
But then
to spice things up.
The problem was I got really salty because literally the person I think he had it against me because he literally disabled my controller for 60 seconds. So I couldn't do anything for 6 seconds and I lost a tournament because of that.
I'd be pissed too.
I'd be livid. 60 seconds is almost the whole round.
It is. I was just literally just jumping. I couldn't press no buttons. The other person had all his buttons. I was like, oh no, they're not gonna sabotage this guy? And that's what I was thinking in my head the whole entire time.
I would have
they had it out against me. I'm telling you, they're like, no, you're not winning this tournament for sure.
Speaking of big fights and everyone getting big mad at each other, beautiful segue into what is arguably one of the greatest mysteries as well as debacles in the fighting game space of the past 20 years. Harada versus Itagaki-san. And I had a big moment on stream the other night where Harada wrote a book. Like, this bitch had a dissertation on this experience he's had with this individual. And I think it's funny that somebody posted something along the lines of like, you know, Harada getting disrespected by Itagaki and had that image of what is Itagaki's most 5 hated games, and it was Tekken 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
That's
like
crazy.
Legendary old image from like a Game Pro or some shit. And then Harada like reads that tweet on his phone. He's like, huh. And then looks at his watch and he's like, I have 3 hours. Just starts like writing up one of the biggest stories that has been kind of like a mystery. What went down between Harada and Itagaki from the late 90s to the mid 2000s, which was the era of Tekken versus Dead or Alive, and Dead or Alive having big beef with Tekken, you know?
But like, I swear that he said something to this effect like a few years ago. It's like, oh yeah, that I was actually friends with him, and like, you know, it was just a lot of brouhaha, just, you know, like nothing serious. But he did not go into this amount of detail where he's recalling specific encounters where he was told, come to Tecmo headquarters alone.
Yeah.
And shit. Like, it's an amazing read. And he retweeted, Harada retweeted your retelling of this story from your stream, I believe.
It was so cool, enthralling that I was like, dude, I want to film some of these. Like, I want to be Itagaki. I can get Simmons. He can get a wig, and like he could be Harada. I could be Itagaki, and we can like relive these moments. I almost was like really inspired to do that, and I'm like, I got to figure that out or make the video go live.
It's do a mini assist me with like costumes and stuff.
Yeah, it was some of like the conversations and how that shit went down is genuinely truly funny and very interesting and very telling for what was going down in the multi-billion-dollar arcade industry of the 90s that started to go away. And, you know, kind of what Harada did for the grassroots FGC scenes at that time in the late 90s, early 2000s, which kind of allowed Tekken to survive and be a thing and grow as a competitive game and all that kind of stuff. So there's just so much information there. And it's once again another thing from Harada. I'm just going to tell you how it is. And it's been a long running mystery to all of us. Like, how the hell did this go down in this time frame? You know, we've never known. And now we know. But yes, if you want the short end of the story, it was kind of just a character. It was a character that Itagaki put on in front of cameras because it was very popular with the West. And that's where they wanted to expand their player base.
Literally being a wrestling like heel.
Yep.
Like, just, I can create buzz by just insulting the other people.
You almost get the impression of him being like an Aerosmith member, like, or like this bitch is like Steven Tyler of video games or some shit. That was mostly all just like for the sake of like marketing, for making their game appealing. And like, oh, like a rock star is running this, because the image of game devs was just a person that never sees light in a room, you know? Mm-hmm. So it was for the sake of marketability. And at that point I held a big, I'd say a large running anger towards Itagaki, because he has just no humility at all. And he was just so angry and mean all the time. Abrasive. It was like, man, this guy's a real piece of shit.
Yeah, right.
And then after you learn that, it was like all so that they can just sell copies of their game. The whole point was to make their games appealing and interesting to other regions. And it was kind of just like specific marketing efforts.
And he, like, I think a lot of it was him going, listen, we're Tecmo. We can't compete with Namco in terms of marketing money, and we're on Xbox, they're on PlayStation, which obviously has a bigger player base. So what can I do that's different? How do we stand out? And because we can't compete with these guys, like they are genuinely like the best. So what ways do we make our game better that their games doesn't? It was a lot of that stuff, a lot of like very much self reflection of just like, so what is our game? Where do we go? Where do we get our sales at? And it was interesting. It was interesting to see how competitive the 3D space of fighting games was. And to be real, like I kind of have a bit more respect for Itagaki and Tecmo at the time, because man, they were making bangers like DOA 2, DOA 3, and then Ninja Gaiden. Like those games are fucking crazy for the time frame they were released. And it more of as an example, this just reminded me like Itagaki
looked at Tekken the same way that Harada looked at Virtua Fighter, where they were looking at these guys doing this thing. We got to one up them. Competition bred 3D fighting games to grow and be different. And this is just the opposite end, where like the DOA guys were looking at the Tekken guys, and we want to outdo them in ways that they had never done before. So anyway, competition's good, man.
Yeah, competition's always good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like and this whole beef, like I remember it in like IGN, like back in the day, like 2004, 2005. Like this would always come up in news articles, like Itagaki famous for shitting on Tekken, blah blah, like blah blah. Blah. It would, and just like Harada said in the tweet, he was told you can't say anything back ever,
Oh,
Like-
okay.
Namco
Yeah, like-
higher up said you can't respond to him.
which is a crazy thing because it's like that did make Harada seem like not anybody. You know what I mean? Like, because even though there were rock stars back then, especially at Capcom, like they were still less known and less accessible than they are today.
Yeah.
Because everyone has social media and talks and does interviews and stuff way more. So it was just like interesting that he was like barred from speaking about it until this tweet, I guess. I guess Namco gave him the all clear.
And it's funny
Yeah,
that
like,
it would happen again, because there would be another developer beef between, some developers that want front page presence and stuff like that, when it was like Ono versus Harada around the Street Fighter Cross Tekken era.
True.
That was a
But
huge
that was-
part of the
but
marketing
that
of
was
that
Like,
game.
like-
that was staged.
Yeah, but that was like
Obviously.
so for fun.
Right. And that's the thing, is that this was technically also as well, sometimes at the behest of Harada, right? But they literally took the same thing that happened, because Harada knew that, oh, this was Itagaki's marketing plan, and it kind of worked, Let's do
Yeah.
the same thing with Capcom and Namco. Let's do the same thing again.
They should have. They
And
should.
maybe it didn't work entirely, but
they should have gone farther with it. Like they'll show a video where Ono burns down Harada's house or something, and he like turns to the camera, and then like a
on some
uh,
wrestling
uh,
shit.
yeah,
On some
yeah,
wrestling
exact-
thing, right?
exactly, and then like he's got like the Akuma logo, and then a Blanca Chan comes out, and like Harada then shows a video where he
It-
like
Oh,
they
yeah.
definitely should have done a thing for Street Fighter Cross Tekken where it shows Ono outside of a burning giant Japanese pagoda mansion, and he just touches his ear. Harada is dead. And then he leaves in a helicopter, and then you see like the pillars of wood get up, and Harada gets out of the
Yeah.
fire. Ah, like he's still
Yeah, that's-
alive.
like they should have spent like a significant amount of the marketing budget for that stuff.
Yes, that would have been better than whatever they did for Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Otherwise,
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's actually a solution.
I read the entire tweet and it was so captivating the way that like Harada writes. Like, I'm not sure if he used a translator or not, because obviously some of like the sentence structure was not the greatest, but even how he ended the story that he had, it was like, I used to get drunken calls from him all the time, but come to think of it, it's been a while, ... And I'm like, it
Yeah.
sounds like there's a part 2 to this, like,
And it's a little funny too, because the lead people that made DOA 5, like the lead DOA divs, made Tekken 8. So
Oh, that's true. I forgot.
there's a lot of like back and forth now in the industry, in the same way that like, oh yeah, the guys that made Virtua Fighter 1 made Tekken 1. And a lot of the same folks that made Tekken also jumped ship over to Tecmo to help make like Dead or Alive 2 and shit. So yeah, like that's just the industry in that era is just a rotating door of talent of people that are really good at this shit, and it still is to this day.
Imagine if in VF6 or VF, whatever it's going to be called, they have guest characters from Dead or Alive in it.
Ooh.
What a reversal.
That could happen.
That'd be great. Because when they appeared in DOA 5 or whatever it was, Jackie and Sarah, I was like, that's it for Virtua Fighter. Like, Virtua Fighter will never, ever show up again except for these cameos. Like, I was convinced. Like,
Yeah,
Sega
and I
would be fine with just making them guest characters from then on out. I'm glad I'm wrong, but
the way they're talking about VF, it would be kind of foolish of them not to jump into the guest character, the guest character space and allow that to happen. But is it going to be Sonic the Hedgehog or Clive 2 or some stuff? Nah, shit, dude, bro, that does not fit VF. And the way they're talking about the new VF, it doesn't fit that. It'll have to be like a grounded like character with realistic martial arts and shit.
like Dante, right?
Yeah, like Dante ain't happening, dude. That shit is not that is a Tekken character.
No, just put Dante in it. Just fuck it. Like,
Just do it.
Fuck it.
Amaterasu versus Akira.
Like Scorpion or something. Like that'd be great too.
And in our final little bit, speaking of wonderful Capcom franchises coming together, we now celebrate in disc form the greatest collection of animated Street Fighter and Darkstalkers being put into a collection of wonderful Blu-ray discs from Discotek. And the best storytelling, the best animation, definitely not watching it for the memes. So
it's great.
Expand on this, Matthew. What is happening?
Well, I was contacted by Discotek. Hey, we're putting out these the Street Fighter and Darkstalkers cartoon, and I spared
you made those, right? You made those cartoons.
I made them on my own blood, sweat, and tears. I made them. But I spared you and Justin from appearing in the Darkstalkers one. That could have been an option, but I saved you from that. And I just asked you guys, asked Kyle Winquote, Lythero, lots of people. Hey, would you just want to watch these? I know way too much about each of these episodes. And I studied up about who wrote what, and there's some really crazy connections in there, but basically it's a bunch of audio commentaries for every single episode of the Street Fighter USA cartoon. Aaron Hansen of Ego Raptor fame just so happened to own the original sketches of the intro of this cartoon. He got them at an auction.
Wow.
When I asked him, I know you're a fan of the show. Do you want to do a commentary over this? He said, yeah, sure. Hey, I have these original sketches. Do they want these? And I was like, probably. So he faxed them all over to Discotek, and they were able to now put them on the disc. Watch the animatics of the intro.
That's
and
sick.
They look better than the final version.
Wow.
In classic
really
Street
cool.
Fighter cartoon vibes.
So,
but yeah, that's coming out from Discotek later this year, but I don't think there's a month.
And I have little memories of the very hectic 2024 that I had, but I do remember when I did this with Matt, the whole premise of it was to ride the memery that is the Street Fighter animated show. And he's like, have you ever seen this before? And I'm like, I have never seen it before. Let me get your raw ass reaction to the events and moving images on screen. And I remember it being very bewildering.
You had seen the Final Fight episode a few years back, but the one that you watched, spoilers, it's Ryu and Ken versus Akuma.
Yes.
And that was a special episode.
It was good.
That's my favorite episode, actually.
Justin had a lot of good move breakdowns. Oh shit, that's how did he get that? That was plus on block. What are these special moves? They're hitting from across the screen. I don't understand. Breaking it down in fighting game terms and actually getting into the nitty gritty of who wrote what, who directed what episode. It was all really interesting stuff. So it was really fun to put together with Discotek. Brady, who works there, also did a couple of commentaries with me, and he's just the best. He knows a lot about video production and stuff, and they were able to get the cleanest masters that they could. It's still not pristine, because why would anyone keep the Street Fighter cartoon masters?
They found them in a ditch.
State? They found them in a ditch if they're lucky. It was at the bottom of a gully or something. So they'll be out for sure in 2025, but I don't think there's a date for them yet. But yeah, it's cool. It's the biggest fighting game news this week.
Yeah, that one definitely eclipses everything that is happening.
Floyd, who? I don't.
What's a Floyd? Sherry, thank you so much for being here with us. We had a big ass news filled week, so the fact that we got your input and everything, and I know your involvement with the FGC is extremely heavy, and having to do all that stuff for the players is a absolute boon for everything that's going on. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at EVO again. Where can everybody find you at, socials or otherwise?
Yeah. So I'm on every social platform that's available as SherryJenix. So you can just follow me there. My name doesn't change. I'm on TikTok, Blue Sky, X, whatever it may be. Just SherryJenix.
Sick. All right, sick. And as soon as C Viper shows up in Street Fighter 6, you'll be the first one I go to. I want there to be a reaction video. There has to be breakdowns.
I'm going to be hiding somewhere in the back because I can't let anybody film my reaction. I don't know what's going to actually happen when I see C Viper on the screen.
You're going to cry?
I don't know if I'm going to cry, but I can't be seen by the public. That's all I know.
Deep emotional
I don't know what'll
attachment.
happen.